We're back in the kitchen with Chef Laura from Celebrated Cuisine, who's making some handmade semolina pasta with Sauce Christiana.
Sauce Christiana, and we are, not I, we are making it.
You know, I like how you always put me to work. I feel like I'm justified in taking home my paycheck at that point.
Well, and that's why they pay me the big bucks. So here we go. So here's what, okay, it's been about 20 minutes. Our pasta dough has had an opportunity to rest.
Can I show our viewers what that looks like? Because when we initially had it, it was a little bit grainy, if you will. So if people are trying this at home, once you gave it time to, what'd you say?
Rest,
something about the gluten, I couldn't remember.
Gluten strand, etc. So we get a little stretch out of it now.
We get a little stretch and it gets a little softer, so that's what you're looking for.
That really is beautiful. I'm chef tears.
Where's the onion?
Exactly. No. Okay, so here's the deal on the pasta maker. And maybe you want to get a close up on this, because when you do a handmade pasta, when you're doing a pasta maker, it has numbers on the dial over here, 1 through 7, 8, whatever. You always want to make sure you start at number 1, because if you don't, you're going to have not a good pasta experience, okay? You also do not want to start with the whole big piece of pasta, okay, so of dough. So we're just going to rip off a little piece of it, just like this. I'm going to have you form that into a bowl and then back into a disc like you just had it. Okay. And the rest of it we'll keep in the bag so it doesn't dry out. So now flatten that into a disc. And now here's what happens. Okay, it's all about the cranking and the catching. So we're going to run this one through 3 times, okay, at number 1. Okay, and I'm just going to hold this down over here. So that's 1. I'm going to have you fold that in half and then put it through again, okay? And we're going to do that one more time. So on the first one only we do 3 folds. So 3 times a charm on number 1. That's all you have to remember. Okay. Then we go to number 2, and we're going to crank it through again. And if you crank too slowly, things will get caught. And now I'm going to go to 3. So this time I'm going to have you start putting it this way, so you don't need to fold it anymore, actually. You can leave it open, okay? So you ready? And then catch.
Oh, I didn't catch it
No,
very
you're
well.
doing fine. You're doing fine. Okay,
now we're on to 3?
Now we're on to 4, actually, because numbers fly when you're having fun rolling pasta. 5.
Now, why do we go so many times on 1? Just to get it nice and
Just to
ready?
get it, yeah, we're kind of prepping it, if you will. And that's how I was trained, and it works every time, so why mess with what works? And then this is number 7. So this works well for the fettuccine that we're going to be making today. There we go. Here's the rest of it. Now, you have a choice at this point. You could say, wow, I want to make super long noodles, or we can cut this in half and have a smaller noodle. So we'll just do that real quickly.
May I show? Okay, let's show them how thin this is. Okay, here's my hand. You can kind of look real thin.
Now, if I were making this into a lasagna noodle, I would actually stop at number 6, so I have a thicker noodle. Okay. If I wanted to use this as a base for a ravioli or something like that, I'd also make sure it was a little bit thicker. Okay, now, here's the next part. We're going to move this over to our fettuccine maker. And there's also an angel hair, but we're going to go fettuccine. I'm going to have you hold it right above that, and then I'll just catch it at this end. And then it comes through and it cuts. And there's one, and we can just put that right on our pasta rack to dry.
Now, how long are we going to dry it for?
It only needs to dry for a few minutes, and then it's only going to take about 3 minutes to cook. So that's the thing to remember. When you're dealing with fresh pasta, your yield of what's cooked as opposed to what you started with is not as great as if you start with a dried pasta like out of the box, okay? So something people don't understand for pasta making overall is that you want to make sure you have a big pot of salted water that's boiling at a good boil, but you want a lot of water in there, because people complain that their pasta starts to stick. So what you want to pay attention to is the fact that if you have enough water in there, as the pasta absorbs the water and it bumps into other pieces of pasta, they don't actually stick together. So that's what the copious amounts of water buy us. So what we'll do at this point is we're going to start, we can keep rolling, but we're also going to start cooking off some of our pasta noodles.
So, okay, 2 questions. 1, can you buy this little number anywhere?
You can, any kitchen supply store is going to have something like that. Yes. 2,
do you have to buy the fancy dancy?
This is not so fancy dancy. You can pick these up for about 20 bucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's the Italian made, which are a lot more expensive. Then there's the ones who are, this one's made in Italy. So this is a Mercato. So this one was probably about 40, but I've had it for years.
Ever.
Ever. And then, so yeah, so we can either keep rolling or we can cook.
And then how long do we let this dry again?
Just a few minutes. This one has been going, this has been dried out now for about 10 minutes. Nothing. You just, actually, if we wanted to, we could almost go right into the, into the thing.
It's very delicate.
So there's that, and then you can feel a little bit different in consistency here. It's just a little bit softer because it's not as dry. But here's a cool thing. Now, if I go to bring this to the, I just take the dowel right off.
Okay.
And I can just slide this now right into my pasta water.
Now tell me what you're saying about the yield again. So when you're making...
So if I buy a box of dried pasta, and I go ahead and put that into boiling water, I'm going to end up with 2.5 to 3 times more than what I started with. But if I buy, okay, because the water is absorbed into the pasta, it's been dried. So a pound box of pasta will end up giving me about 2+ pounds, 2.5 pounds of cooked product. Notice it says it makes for 8 people, okay? I'd like to meet those 8 people that eat that 2.5 pounds of pasta that don't play professional sports. But then the last, but if I'm doing this fresh pasta, this is only going to grow by about 1 to 1.5. So this will be, if this were a pound, I'd end up with about 1.25 pounds.
Okay,
at the most.
At the most. So you can basically, it is pretty much what you see is what you get,
right.
basically.
And now, as you can see here too, this is cooking fairly quickly. So because this is fresh pasta, it doesn't take the 8 to 11 minutes that you see on on dried pasta. This is only going to take a few minutes. So seriously, you could actually put a pot of water on to boil, make your dough, get it resting, and be pulling it out, be cranking it out to make your pasta just when your water's ready to go. So you could. It takes about the same amount of time.
Same amount of time.
And
okay.
It's fresh and it's homemade and it's delicious.
Olive oil in that water or just salt?
No, just salt. That's it. Never put oil in the water.
All right. What if I want to? We were just talking about how my sister and her boyfriend are coming to visit. I want to impress them because I'm a big sister, and the dream is still alive for her. She still thinks I'm a cool girl. So I wanted to create something. Now, can I do something in advance with these and freeze them? Or is that not a good idea?
No, you could actually cook it. You could blanch it, just like we're doing here. Drain it. Okay, so it just pulls out. Run it under cold water. Toss a little bit of olive oil at that point, and then put it into a plastic baggie and put it in your fridge.
Okay.
You can hold it for a few days.
But yes, but fridge.
But definitely in your fridge, yes. And as you can see here, you can see by the color too. I hope you can get a close-up of this. See how white our noodles are getting now too? So we are basically at a point where our noodles are done.
Okay, so one last thing I got to tell you though, with my box spaghetti, hanging head in shame right now, I throw it against the back of my wall because my mom taught me that's the way you find out if it's ready.
Did you want to throw something?
Well, no, I was just wondering if that's how you do it, or how you know if it's just because it turns white.
I go by touch. I don't throw it anywhere because I want to be sure that I'm not peeling it off the wall later. But
sometimes I forget where it
But
lands.
if you feel it here, you can tell by feel it's hot. So,
okay.
But yeah. It's got a great texture to it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pull that.
It basically was kind of stretchy. That's what I just felt.
Stretchy, good.
All right, Laura's going to show us how to create this
amazing
easy sauce
we'll
with just a few little ingredients that we've got right here. We'll do that coming up in the next one. Have you